The alarm rings, and the first thought is a wave of anxiety about everything that could go wrong today. This mental chaos is something so many of us face before our feet even touch the floor. But nearly 2,000 years ago, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius offered a different way to meet the dawn. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Ancient Stoicism provides a powerful antidote to modern morning dread, not through complex theory, but through simple, daily practice. This video will give you 29 small, actionable habits, each rooted in core Stoic principles like focusing only on what you control and loving your fate. By the end, you will have a complete philosophical training regimen to build an unshakable inner confidence, one morning at a time. This is not about a quick fix. It is about forging a resilient mind. How would your mornings change if the first thought was one of strength, not fear? What does the first minute of your morning truly feel like? For many, it is a frantic scramble for a phone, a barrage of notifications, and a mind already racing into the day's worries. Our first habit offers a radical alternative. It is the pre-dawn minute of silence. This is not about sleeping in or being lazy. It is an active, deliberate practice of stillness. Before you check the time, before you reach for any device, you simply sit. Find a chair or just sit on the edge of your bed, and for one full minute you do nothing but breathe. You are not trying to empty your mind, but rather to gather it. You are allowing the mental dust to settle so you can see your own intentions clearly. The Stoic philosopher Seneca often wrote about the necessity of this kind of quiet retreat. He advised you must retreat into yourself again and again. He was not talking about a long vacation, but about these small, daily moments of reclamation. This 1 minute of silence is your first act of taking control. It is you saying that your inner state matters more than the world's immediate demands. Think about your own mornings for a moment. What is the first thought or worry that typically crashes into your quiet? Is it an email you are dreading, a difficult conversation you are rehearsing? That very thought is what this practice gently disarms. By creating this small space of stillness, you build a buffer between you and the chaos, and that is where Stoic confidence begins to take root. The state of your bed is a reflection of the state of your mind. An unmade, chaotic bed often signals a chaotic start, a mind already yielding to the day's disorder before it has even begun. Your second microhabit is to make your bed with intention. This is not about domestic tidiness. It is a physical ritual, a concrete declaration that you are taking command of the small corner of the world you absolutely control. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that our chief task in life is to distinguish between what is up to us and what is not. The neat folding of a blanket, the straightening of a sheet, these are actions that are entirely up to you. They are a perfect, small-scale exercise in virtue. You are starting your day with a completed task, a small victory that is entirely your own. This single act of order creates a powerful ripple effect. It sets a psychological precedent. When you turn and look at that ordered space, your mind receives a silent, powerful message. You have already proven to yourself that you can impose discipline. You have created a pocket of calm. That feeling of quiet accomplishment makes it easier to tackle the next task, and then the next, building a chain of disciplined action throughout your entire day. Think for a moment about one small, ordered action you can consistently complete each morning. It could be this very habit of making your bed, or perhaps placing a single object back in its designated home. What is one thing you can do without fail to prove to yourself that you are in command of your own sphere? What single thing are you worried about today that you ultimately cannot control? That persistent anxiety, the one that circles in your mind before a big meeting or a difficult conversation, is the exact target of our third microhabit, the dichotomy of control review. This is a simple, powerful mental exercise you do while making your coffee or looking out the window. You take the day's anticipated events and consciously sort them into two distinct categories: what is within your control and what is not. This is not just positive thinking, it is a philosophical tool for building real confidence. The Stoic teacher Epictetus laid the foundation for this entire practice when he wrote, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, our reputation, our office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. Your confidence grows not from controlling everything, but from knowing with absolute clarity where your true power begins and where it ends. Let us take a common example, a work presentation. You can spend days worrying about whether your boss will be impressed or if a colleague will ask a tricky question. The dichotomy of control cuts through that mental noise. What is within your control is your preparation, your rehearsal, the clarity of your slides, and your effort to be articulate. What is outside your control is your boss's mood, the questions people ask, the final outcome of the decision. By making this simple distinction, you free up immense mental energy. You stop wasting focus on the unpredictable reactions of others and channel all your power into what you can actually influence, your own performance. This mental sorting becomes a habit of immense personal strength. So take a moment right now. Think of one specific concern for your day ahead. Is it truly within your sphere of command, or does it belong to the external world? Write it down if you can and consciously label it within my control or outside my control. This small act of naming it strips it of its vague power and returns your energy to where it can actually make a difference. Seeking a small amount of discomfort is a profound act of self-mastery. This is the core of our fourth habit, cold water exposure for voluntary discomfort. It might sound counterintuitive, even unpleasant, to deliberately choose a moment of physical shock first thing in the morning. Yet this practice is a direct physical application of a key Stoic principle. The Stoics believed in voluntarily experiencing small hardships to build a resilience that would protect them against life's inevitable, larger adversities. By willingly stepping into a minor challenge, you are tempering your own will and breaking the addictive grip of constant comfort. The philosopher Seneca wrote powerfully about this, advising his friend Lucilius to set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" He was practicing a form of voluntary poverty to appreciate his wealth, but the underlying logic applies perfectly to our modern relationship with comfort. By choosing a brief moment of cold, you are not punishing yourself. You are training your mind to understand that discomfort is temporary, manageable, and often far less frightening than the anticipation of it. Your confidence grows from the immediate proof that you can handle it. The applications are beautifully simple and accessible. You do not need an ice bath to start. You can begin by splashing your face with cold water for 10 seconds after you wash it, or you can turn the shower knob to cold for the final 30 seconds of your morning routine. The specific act matters less than the conscious intention behind it. In that moment, as the cold hits your skin, your only task is to breathe deeply and accept the sensation without panic or complaint. You are building a mental muscle, one that learns to face the unexpected shocks of the day with the same calm composure. So, as you consider this practice, ask yourself, what is one small comfort I can voluntarily forego each morning? It might be that warm shower, or perhaps it is delaying your first cup of coffee by 5 minutes. This small act of refusal is not about deprivation, but about reclaiming your power over your own desires and building a confidence that no external circumstance can easily shake. The first thought of the day should be one of abundance, not lack. Before you reach for that glowing screen, before the world tells you what you should want or what you are missing, you have a precious opportunity to ground yourself in what you already possess. This is the fifth microhabit, taking a gratitude inventory before you ever check your phone. It is a direct counterattack on the human tendency to focus on what is absent, a practice that aligns perfectly with the Stoic art of negative visualization. The Stoics were masters of appreciating the present by consciously considering its potential loss. They trained themselves to value their health by remembering sickness, their friendships by contemplating solitude, and their simple comforts by imagining life without them. This is not pessimism, it is a profound strategy for cultivating deep and lasting contentment. Marcus Aurelius, in his private journal, Meditations, constantly reminded himself of this principle. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." He was not listing grand achievements or vast wealth. He was focusing on the fundamental, often invisible, gifts of existence. Your gratitude inventory works in the same way. It is a mental exercise in recognizing these privileges. As you sit in the quiet of your morning, perhaps still in bed or with that first sip of water, mentally list 3 specific, simple things you are grateful for in that exact moment. It could be the warmth of the blanket, the sound of birds outside your window, the simple fact that you can draw a full breath without pain. The power is in the specificity. Instead of a vague feeling of thanks, you are actively identifying concrete details of your life that are good. This practice builds a foundation of contentment that external comparisons on social media cannot easily erode. It fortifies you against the envy and dissatisfaction that a digital feed can so quickly trigger. So take a moment now before you move on with your day. What is one thing you are grateful for that is so basic, so ordinary, you might normally overlook it? And then consider this: what is that one thing, if it were taken away from you tomorrow, would make you realize just how truly fortunate you are to have it today? Our bodies often carry the weight of yesterday, a subtle stiffness in the shoulders or a tightness in the neck holding onto forgotten stresses. The sixth microhabit, intentional stretching with mind-body awareness, invites you to consciously release that stored tension. This is not a workout designed for fitness, but a mindful practice of reconnecting with your physical self, a living application of the Stoic principle to live in accordance with nature. Your body is a fundamental part of that nature, the very vessel your mind uses to navigate the world. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this inseparable link, writing, "The soul is dyed the color of its thoughts." Think only on those things that are in line with your principles and that can bear the full light of day. And truly, your body often reflects the color of your thoughts, holding onto anxieties you have already mentally released. This practice is a gentle way to bring both mind and body back into alignment. Begin with a simple, deliberate movement. As you stand, slowly reach your arms toward the sky, feeling the stretch along your sides. Then gently bend forward, allowing your hands to move toward your toes. The goal is not to achieve a perfect fold, but to focus your entire attention on the physical sensations you encounter. Notice the pull in your hamstrings, the stretch in your back. Observe these feelings without judgment, without labeling them as good or bad. You are simply becoming aware of the current state of your instrument. This is a profound act of acceptance. You are not trying to force your body into a state it is not ready for. You are meeting it where it is, acknowledging its condition with the same calm observation a Stoic would apply to an external event. This mindful check-in builds confidence by reinforcing that you are fully present within your own skin, aware of your vessel, and ready to use it with purpose for the day ahead. As you try this, pay attention to one specific area where you feel the most tension. Is it in your jaw, your shoulders, your lower back? For just a moment, do not try to change it or make it disappear. Simply observe the sensation, breathe into it, and acknowledge its presence. What does this simple, non-judgmental awareness teach you about the connection between your mind and the physical form it inhabits? Wisdom is not meant to be absorbed in silence, but to be given a voice. The seventh microhabit is the practice of reading a single Stoic passage aloud each morning. This is more than a reading exercise, it is a ritual of embodiment. When you vocalize the words of Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus, you engage your ears and your breath in the process, transforming an abstract idea into a tangible declaration you make to yourself. Silent reading can sometimes leave the wisdom on the page, but speaking it aloud pulls the teaching into your own space, making it feel less like a historical quote and more like a personal command. The vibration of your own voice delivering these ancient truths creates a deeper neural pathway, a stronger anchor for your mind to grasp throughout the day. Select a very short, potent passage, perhaps from the Enchiridion or Meditations, one that you can hold in your mind with ease. A powerful example from Epictetus is, it is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments about events. This single sentence, spoken clearly as you look out your window, becomes a preemptive shield against the day's potential chaos. Keep a small, physical book on your bedside table, or a single printed quote propped against your lamp. The physical act of picking it up and reading it with intention turns the philosophy from a concept into a daily companion. As the words leave your lips, you are not just repeating a phrase, you are rehearsing a response. You are programming your mind to react with perspective before the first disturbance even arrives. So ask yourself, if you could only carry one piece of Stoic wisdom with you today, one maxim to echo in your thoughts when pressure mounts, what would that single, powerful sentence be? What single quality do you want to embody today above all else? This question shifts your focus from a list of tasks to the character you wish to display while completing them. Habit 8 is setting a single, virtuous intention, a practice that transforms your entire day from a series of reactions into a guided expression of your principles. Instead of a to-do list filled with items like finish a report or run errands, you choose one core Stoic virtue to be your compass. The 4 cardinal virtues of Stoicism offer a powerful pool to draw from: wisdom, the ability to navigate complex situations with clear judgment; courage, the strength to face difficulty and do what is right; justice, treating others with fairness and integrity; and temperance, exercising self-restraint and moderation in all things. Your intention is not about what you will get done, but who you will be while doing it. For instance, your intention could be, today, I will act with courage in my 10 a.m. meeting. This is far more specific and character-defining than simply finish the project presentation. The first goal is about an external outcome you may not fully control, while the second is about an internal state you command completely. When you walk into that meeting, your primary objective is no longer just to impress your boss, but to speak your truth clearly, to voice a difficult opinion, or to listen to criticism without becoming defensive. This reframes the entire event as an arena for practicing virtue, regardless of the final result. So take a moment to reflect on your own day ahead. What would it look like for you to act with justice in your specific context? Perhaps it means giving a colleague the full credit they deserve, or listening patiently to a family member without interruption. How could you practice temperance? Maybe it is consciously limiting your time on social media or choosing not to indulge in gossip. Defining this single intention gives your actions a deeper purpose and builds a confidence rooted not in achievement but in unwavering character. Zoom out from that single, pressing worry for just 60 seconds. The ninth microhabit, the view from above meditation, is a powerful mental exercise that shrinks your anxieties down to their true size by placing them against the backdrop of the cosmos. This is not about escaping your life, but about seeing it in its proper, humbling context. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius was a master of this perspective. He would constantly remind himself in his private writings to look at things from above, to see the little gatherings of people, their ceremonies, their voyages, and their quarrels against the immense theater of the earth and sky. He was training his mind to recognize that his personal dramas, however intense they felt, were just one small part of a vast, unfolding whole. To practice this, you do not need any special equipment, only a moment of quiet focus. Begin by visualizing the room you are in right now. See yourself sitting or standing there. Then, in your mind's eye, pull the camera back. See your building from the outside, then your entire street, then your city as a tiny grid of lights. Keep pulling back until you see the curve of the planet, a beautiful blue and green marble hanging in the profound blackness of space. Watch it spin silently, continents and oceans passing beneath swirling clouds. From this vantage point, your difficult meeting, that awkward conversation, the bill you need to pay, all of it exists on that single, spinning sphere. This visualization does not make your problems disappear, but it radically alters their weight. It reminds you that you are a brief, precious guest in an unimaginably vast and ancient universe. The confidence this builds is not the loud kind, but a quiet, deep-seated assurance that comes from knowing your true place. It is the confidence of a single tree in a vast forest, standing firm without needing to be the entire woods. So, as you hold that cosmic image in your mind for just a moment longer, ask yourself this simple question. Which of your current worries begins to feel almost insignificant when viewed from this grand, star-filled distance? The way you prepare your morning drink is a mirror for how you approach your entire day. Do you rush through it, your mind already 10 steps ahead, or do you treat it as a ceremony of focus? This 10th microhabit invites you to transform the simple act of making tea or coffee into a practice in mindful presence. It is about reclaiming a routine task from the domain of autopilot and turning it into a meditation on process. The Stoic ideal is to bring your full, undivided attention to the action immediately before you, no matter how small or mundane it may seem. Epictetus captured this perfectly when he taught, practice even the things that seem impossible. Become the kind of person who can handle even the smallest things with care and attention. He was not just talking about grand gestures of virtue, but about the integrity you bring to boiling water and measuring grounds. This is where philosophy lies, in the quiet, consistent application of principle to the ordinary moments everyone else overlooks. Begin by noticing the sensory details you normally ignore. Listen to the specific sound of the water filling the kettle, a rising pitch that signals the coming heat. Inhale the rich, earthy aroma of the coffee grounds or the delicate scent of tea leaves. Feel the weight of the mug in your hand, its solidity and the way it warms your palm. Your only job in these few minutes is to be fully there with each step of the process. When your mind inevitably wanders to a worry or a plan, gently guide it back to the physical reality of the task. This is not a failure, but the heart of the practice, the repeated act of returning to the present. By completing this one simple sequence with deliberate focus, you are training a mental muscle that will serve you all day long. You are teaching yourself that you can choose to be fully engaged, even in the most common activities. So for the rest of today, choose one routine action you always do on autopilot, perhaps tying your shoes or washing a single dish. Perform that one activity with your complete and undivided attention, as if the entire quality of your day depended on the care you gave to that single, simple task. Notice the light coming through your window. It is not just illumination, but a constant, silent presence you likely overlook every single day. This 11th microhabit is a moment of sunlight observation, a practice of pure perception designed to root you firmly in the here and now. For 1 minute, simply stand by a window and observe the light itself. Do not think about whether it is a sunny day or a cloudy one. Do not label it as good or bad. Just see the light, notice its particular quality in this exact moment. Is it a soft gray glow filtering through the clouds or a sharp golden beam cutting across the floor? See how it falls on the surfaces in the room, highlighting the texture of a wall or the edge of a table. This is an exercise in stripping away the layers of judgment and story we automatically apply to our experience, allowing you to connect directly with the world as it is. The Stoics held a profound reverence for the natural world, seeing in its rational order a model for human life. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to contemplate the nature of the universe, to see the beauty and intelligence in its workings, from the orbits of the stars to the simple fact of sunlight. By consciously observing this light, you are aligning yourself with that cosmic order, acknowledging your small but integral part in a system far greater than your individual concerns. It is a humble reminder that this same sun has risen on countless generations, witnessing every human drama, and will continue to do so long after your own worries have passed. This practice builds a quiet, observational confidence, one that comes from knowing you can pause the internal narrative and simply witness the reality before you. So, after you have spent that minute with the light, slowly turn your gaze to the rest of the room. What else in your immediate environment, a piece of furniture, a plant, a crack in the ceiling, have you been failing to truly see because you have been too busy thinking about what it means or what you need to do about it? You have survived every single one of your worst days so far. This undeniable fact is the foundation of our 12th microhabit, recalling a past adversity overcome. Before you step out the door, take just 30 seconds to bring to mind one specific challenge from your past that you successfully navigated. It does not have to be a monumental life event. It could be a project that felt impossible, a period of financial strain, a difficult conversation you finally had, or a personal loss you learned to carry. The goal is to build what we can call evidence-based confidence. You are not trying to convince yourself of a vague positive feeling. You are reviewing the concrete proof, written in the pages of your own life, that you possess an innate resilience. The Stoic philosopher Seneca captured this perfectly when he wrote, "Fire is the test of gold, adversity of strong men." He was not saying that strong men avoid hardship, but that hardship is the very process that reveals their strength, just as a fire separates pure gold from lesser metals. Your past difficulties were your personal fires, and the fact that you are here today thinking about them is the gleaming proof of the metal you are made of. To apply this, think of one specific event from the last year. Perhaps it was a work deadline that filled you with anxiety, but you broke it down into small steps and saw it through. Or maybe it was a personal disappointment that felt crushing at the time, but you slowly found your footing again. In that moment of recall, do not just remember the problem. Acknowledge your own strength in getting through it. Recognize the patience, the courage, or the simple, stubborn persistence you discovered within yourself. This habit actively fights the brain's natural negativity bias, which often makes past struggles feel blurry while current anxieties feel sharp and overwhelming. By deliberately revisiting your past victories, you are building a mental library of resilience you can draw upon whenever a new challenge arises. So take that moment now. What is one strength, one quality of character did you discover in yourself the last time life tested you? Was it a patience you did not know you had, a courage to speak up, or a quiet endurance to simply keep going? That strength did not disappear when the problem was solved. It is still there, waiting for your conscious recognition, ready to be called upon again today. Do not merely tolerate the day ahead, but learn to love it exactly as it unfolds. This is the heart of the 13th microhabit, the Amor Fati affirmation. Amor Fati is a Latin phrase meaning love of one's fate, a concept championed by the philosopher Nietzsche, but with deep roots in Stoic acceptance. It is the ultimate philosophical stance, a radical embrace of every single event in your life, past, present, and future, as an essential and beneficial thread in the tapestry of who you are. This is not passive resignation where you sigh and say, "Well, I guess I have to deal with this." It is an active, powerful love. It is looking at any situation, especially the difficult and unexpected ones, and saying, "This too is for my good. I will find the value in this." The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius was practicing this when he wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." He saw every experience, even those that felt like they were burning him, as fuel for his own inner strength and wisdom. To practice this, you do not need to love a major tragedy first thing in the morning. Start with the small, predictable irritations of your day. You look at the forecast and see rain for your commute. Instead of groaning with disappointment, you take a breath and affirm, silently or aloud, "I love my fate. This rain is part of my day, and I will find the good in it." Perhaps it forces you to slow down, to be more present as you drive. Maybe it gives you a reason to appreciate the warmth and dryness of your office all the more. The moment you say those words, you shift from being a victim of circumstance to being the author of your response. Your confidence soars because you are no longer fighting reality, you are working with it. So think back to yesterday. What was one small annoyance, a delayed package, a critical comment, a spilled coffee? Can you find a way to not just accept that it happened, but to actively love it for the tiny lesson it contained or the sliver of strength it asked you to summon? The most confident mind is one that chooses its first thought, not one that receives it from a notification. This 14th habit, digital minimalism for the first hour, is your daily declaration of mental independence. It is a commitment to shield your morning mind from the tidal wave of external demands, news cycles, and social comparisons that a digital device unleashes. For 60 full minutes after you wake, you simply do not engage. You are building what the Stoics called an inner citadel, a fortress of your own making where your intentions can form in peace before being tested by the world's chaos. Marcus Aurelius understood this need for guarding the gates of the mind. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He knew that the quality of your entire day is shaped by the impressions you allow in at the start. Letting a screen dictate those first impressions is like inviting a shouting crowd into your quiet sanctuary before you have even had a chance to dress. The practical application is beautifully simple but requires deliberate strategy. Begin by removing the greatest temptation. Charge your phone in another room overnight. Invest in a simple, traditional alarm clock. This single physical barrier makes the commitment effortless, transforming a test of willpower into a simple matter of logistics. When you wake, the default is no longer a groggy reach for the glowing rectangle, but a moment of natural transition into your own consciousness. You will quickly notice the automatic impulse, the phantom limb feeling of wanting to check for messages. When that urge arises, pause and ask yourself a powerful, reflective question. What am I truly seeking from this device right now? Is it vital information, or is it a hit of distraction? A way to avoid the slight discomfort of being alone with my own thoughts for a few more minutes. This honest inquiry reveals the emptiness of the habit. The confidence you build in this quiet hour is profound. It is the confidence that comes from knowing your mind is your own territory, not a billboard for other people's agendas. You start the day centered in your own priorities, not reacting to someone else's emergency. That centered calm becomes your new default, a stoic readiness that no breaking news alert can easily shatter. Your own feet are the most reliable anchor you will ever have. This 15th microhabit is a single act of physical grounding, a deliberate practice of rooting your awareness in the simple, undeniable reality of your body. When your mind is spinning with anxious thoughts about a future you cannot control, this habit pulls you back from that precipice and into the safety of the present moment. It is a direct, physical way to embody the Stoic teaching that life is lived only in the here and now. The past is a memory, the future a speculation, but this floor beneath your feet, this breath in your lungs, this is what is real and what is yours to command. The philosopher Epictetus, who began his life as a slave, understood the power of this grounded reality better than most. He taught that we should not be disturbed by fantasies of what might happen, but should deal only with the actual impressions before us. Your feet on the floor are not a fantasy, they are an actual impression, a truth you can return to again and again. The practice itself is beautifully simple. As you stand, perhaps feeling the first flutters of the day's anxiety, shift your attention completely to the soles of your feet. Feel the full weight of your body being supported by the ground. Notice the pressure against your heels, the balls of your feet, your arches. Is the floor cool or warm? Is it perfectly solid, or can you feel a slight give in the flooring? You are not trying to change the sensation, only to observe it with your full attention. Another powerful method is to press your palms together firmly in front of your chest. Feel the heat generated between your hands, the subtle ridges of your own fingerprints meeting. Or you can grip the edge of a table or a kitchen counter, focusing on the unyielding solidity of the wood or stone, a stability you can borrow for your own restless mind. In that minute of focused grounding, you are not avoiding your problems, you are fortifying yourself to face them from a place of calm strength. So, wherever you are right now, bring your awareness to one single physical sensation. Is it the weight of your body in the chair, the texture of the fabric on your skin, or the simple feeling of air moving in and out of your lungs? For 1 minute, let that sensation be your entire world. And notice how the frantic stories in your mind begin to quiet when you return to the quiet truth of your body. Remembering you will die is the key to living fully. This is the 16th microhabit, the Memento Mori reminder, a brief and gentle contemplation of life's impermanence. Far from being a morbid fixation, this Stoic practice is a powerful tool to ignite urgency, deepen gratitude, and sharpen your focus on what is truly essential. It strips away the distractions of ego and petty concerns, reminding you that your time is a finite and precious resource. The true purpose is not to scare you, but to energize you, to make you ask whether you are spending your most valuable asset, your attention, on things that truly align with your principles. The great Stoic teacher Seneca put it with stunning clarity when he wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." He was not advising a life of frantic activity, but one of profound intention, where you live each day as if it were a complete life in itself, with no unfinished business of character. You can integrate this into your morning with a simple, tangible reminder. It does not need to be a skull on your desk. It could be an old photograph of a loved one who has passed, a withered leaf on your windowsill, or even the simple act of noticing your own reflection and acknowledging the passage of time. The object itself is unimportant. Its only job is to trigger a moment of sober reflection. In that quiet moment, you ask yourself the most clarifying question you will face all day. If today were my last, what one thing would I want to have done? The answer is almost never about clearing your inbox or finishing a report. It points toward an act of connection, an expression of love, a moment of courage, or the quiet satisfaction of having lived in accordance with your virtue. This daily check against mortality does not fill you with fear, but with a profound and focused confidence, because you are no longer drifting through your days. You are actively building a life you will be proud to have lived, right up to its final moment. Close your eyes for just a moment and identify the farthest sound you can hear. It might be the low hum of a refrigerator, the distant chatter of birds, or the faint rumble of a car several streets away. This 17th microhabit is the practice of mindful listening to a single sound. It is a discipline of your attention, training your mind to filter out the chaotic symphony of the world and attend to just one point of focus. This is far more than a relaxation technique. It is a direct application of the Stoic discipline of assent, the practice of learning which external impressions you will allow to command your mind and which you will observe with calm detachment. The world is a constant marketplace of noise, both literal and figurative, and your confidence depends on your ability to not be carried away by every shout and murmur. Epictetus gave his students a powerful exercise for this very challenge. He said, when you are going to meet someone, especially someone who seems important, set this thought before you: what would Socrates or Zeno have done in these circumstances? And you will not be at a loss as to how to deal with the occasion. He was teaching them to have a preset anchor, a point of focus for their judgment amidst the social noise. Your practice of listening to a single sound is the sensory version of that anchor. You might choose the consistent tone of an air conditioner or the rhythmic pattern of a clock's tick. Your only task is to rest your attention gently on that one sound, as if it were a boat tied to a single dock. When your mind inevitably drifts to a thought or another noise, you do not scold yourself. You simply notice the distraction, and with quiet intention, you guide your focus back to your chosen sound. This repeated act of returning is the heart of the training. It builds a mental muscle that learns to stay centered on your chosen task or principle, even when the world around you grows loud and demanding. Later today, you will likely find yourself in a conversation. Challenge yourself to listen to the other person with this same single-minded focus. Do not just wait for your turn to speak. Pour your entire attention into the sound of their voice, the meaning of their words, the subtle shifts in their tone. You will be amazed at the depth of connection and understanding this simple, stoic focus can create. Who would you become if you could borrow the courage of a hero for a single day? This 18th habit invites you to do exactly that through the character role model visualization. Before you step into your day's challenges, you spend a quiet moment selecting a historical or philosophical figure renowned for their strength of character, and you consciously imagine how they would navigate your specific circumstances. This is not about imitation or fantasy, but about externalizing your own highest potential, giving a face and a voice to the virtues you wish to embody. The Stoics themselves constantly used this technique. Marcus Aurelius filled his private meditations with references to his own role models, asking himself what his adoptive father or the philosopher Socrates would do in a given situation. He was not seeking to become them, but to access the same wellspring of principle that they embodied. To practice this, you might choose a different figure each week, aligning them with a virtue you want to strengthen. For a week where you need courage, you could visualize Harriet Tubman, contemplating her unwavering resolve in the face of immense danger, and ask how she would handle a difficult conversation you are avoiding. For a week focused on wisdom, you might picture Socrates patiently questioning his own assumptions before making a big decision. The figure does not even need to be historical. It could be a fictional character like Atticus Finch, whose quiet integrity in the face of prejudice serves as a powerful model for justice. As you visualize this person walking through your day, you are not asking what brilliant, unique solution they would invent. You are asking what principle would guide their judgment. This simple mental shift lifts you out of your own limited perspective and connects you to a timeless standard of character. So, take a moment for an honest reflection. Which single virtue feels most distant or underdeveloped in your life right now? Is it patience in the face of frustration, or perhaps the courage to set a firm boundary? And which one person, real or imagined, stands in your mind as the purest example of that quality? Their imagined presence today can become your silent, steadfast guide. Every evening leaves a quiet lesson for the morning to uncover. This 19th microhabit is a brief review of the previous evening, a gentle look back designed not for regret but for insight. It is the morning counterpart to the ancient Stoic practice of the nightly examination, a time to learn from the person you were just hours ago so you can guide the person you are today. The philosopher Seneca made this a cornerstone of his own practice, describing in his letters how he would end each day with a quiet interrogation. "I make use of this privilege," he wrote, "and daily plead my cause before myself." He would ask himself, what bad habit have you cured today? What fault have you resisted? He was not whipping himself for his mistakes, but holding up a calm mirror to his own progress. Your morning review carries the same spirit of constructive curiosity. As you sip your water or look out the window, cast your mind back to one specific interaction or decision from the previous evening. Perhaps it was a conversation with a family member where you felt yourself growing impatient. Look at that moment with the detached eye of a scientist studying data. What was well handled? Maybe you caught yourself and took a breath before speaking. What could be improved? Perhaps you noticed the impulse to interrupt but did not fully restrain it. The goal is to identify a single, small adjustment for the evening to come. For instance, you might resolve, tonight, when that same topic arises, I will listen fully until the other person has finished their thought before I respond. This is not about overhauling your character in a single day, but about making one tiny, deliberate correction to your course. It builds a profound and practical confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you are actively learning from your own life, growing wiser with each passing day. So, as you reflect on your own last evening, what is one small, specific adjustment you can carry forward into the night ahead? A single sentence written down holds more power than 1,000 thoughts left swirling in your mind. This 20th habit is the simple act of writing one sentence in a journal, a tiny ritual that captures a core reflection, a clear intention, or a fleeting moment of insight from your morning practice. The goal is not to produce an essay or a lengthy diary entry. It is about consistency over volume, making the profound practice of self-reflection so sustainable it becomes as ingrained as brushing your teeth. This single line becomes an anchor point for your day, a deliberate mark you leave on the page that says, "I was here and I was paying attention." The most famous work of Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, was never intended for publication. It was his personal journal, a collection of thoughts, reminders, and admonishments written to himself. He was not crafting perfect prose. He was engaging in an active dialogue with his own soul, clarifying his principles one sentence at a time. Your own journal can serve the same purpose. Keep a simple, inexpensive notebook on your bedside table. The physical act of putting pen to paper creates a different, more tangible connection to your thought than typing on a screen. Each morning, after you have completed your other microhabits, open the book and write just one line. It could be a virtue you wish to embody, a quote that resonated from your reading, or a simple observation about your current state. For example, you might write, "Today, my intention is to listen more than I speak." Or, after a moment of gratitude, you could write, "I am thankful for the quiet of this morning." The sentence does not need to be poetic or profound. It only needs to be true. As the days and weeks accumulate, this collection of sentences forms a powerful record of your philosophical progress, a map of your inner landscape. So now, consider this. If you were to write just one sentence today, one that you would promise to read again 1 full year from now, what would you want that sentence to say? What single thought is important enough to carry from this morning into your future? Draw an imaginary circle around your feet right where you are standing. What truly belongs inside that space? This 21st microhabit, the circle of influence visualization, transforms the abstract idea of control into a tangible, spatial map you can consult each morning. It builds directly on the dichotomy of control by giving your power a visible shape, clarifying exactly where your energy and confidence can be most effectively spent. Inside this circle lies everything that is genuinely up to you. Your efforts, your attitudes, your integrity, the words you choose to speak, and the actions you choose to take. Everything else, the opinions of others, the outcomes of your work, the traffic on your commute, the weather, all of that exists outside the line. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus laid the unshakable foundation for this practice with his core teaching. Some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Your circle of influence contains only what is of your own doing. To practice this, close your eyes for a moment after you have set your daily intention. Picture that circle on the floor around you, a clear, bright line separating your domain from the vast external world. Now, bring to mind the specific situations you anticipate today. Perhaps you have a crucial project deadline. Your preparation, your focus, your commitment to doing quality work, these all go firmly inside the circle. The final approval from your manager, the market conditions that might affect the project's reception, these belong outside. Your energy and confidence are not meant to be sprayed indiscriminately at everything you encounter. They are a precious resource to be poured intentionally into the territory you command. By visualizing this boundary each morning, you train your mind to instinctively recognize where your agency begins and where it ends. This is not a limitation, it is a profound liberation. It frees you from the exhausting and futile attempt to manage the unmanageable, so take a moment for an honest reflection. What is one specific thing you typically worry about? One that you must now consciously place outside your circle because it ultimately depends on someone else's choice or an unpredictable event. Naming it and visually placing it beyond your line of control is the first step to reclaiming the energy you have been wasting on it. Saying no to a small desire is training for refusing a far greater one. This 20-second microhabit is a pledge of self-restraint in one single, specific area, a daily exercise in strengthening the very muscle of your willpower. You consciously choose one minor, harmless impulse and practice denying it, not out of punishment, but as a philosophical workout for your character. This practice is a direct path to cultivating the Stoic virtue of temperance, which is not about harsh deprivation, but about the rational mastery over your own cravings and aversions. Self-control is not a static quality you either have or you lack. It is a mental muscle that demands consistent, deliberate exercise to grow strong. The Roman philosopher Seneca understood this dynamic perfectly. He wrote, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires. He was not praising actual poverty, but highlighting the profound freedom that comes from not being a slave to your every whim. When you master a small desire, you prove to yourself that you are in command, not your impulses. The application of this habit must be incredibly concrete and manageable. Choose something so small that refusing it feels almost trivial. It could be deciding not to add sugar to your morning tea, resisting the urge to check a notification the instant your phone buzzes, or consciously choosing water instead of a second cup of coffee. Perhaps it is the simple act of not hitting the snooze button, but instead placing your feet on the floor the very first time your alarm sounds. The specific act is far less important than the conscious intention behind it. In that moment of choice, when the desire arises, you pause. You feel the slight tension, the automatic pull toward that small comfort or distraction. And then, with calm clarity, you choose to do without it. That single, deliberate refusal is a tiny victory for your rational mind over your automatic reactions. It builds an immediate and tangible sense of self-mastery, a quiet confidence that you are the one steering your ship. So, as you consider your own morning, what is one tiny desire you can practice overcoming today? Is it the craving for a sweet pastry, the itch to scroll through headlines, or the temptation to complain about the weather? What is that one small no you can say, not to deprive yourself, but to declare your own inner sovereignty? Notice your next breath, and then the one that follows it. This 23rd microhabit invites you into a minute of pure observation, watching the natural rhythm of your breathing without any attempt to change or improve it. You are not trying to breathe more deeply or slowly. You are simply receiving the reality of each inhale and exhale exactly as it is. This is a profound exercise in non-judgmental awareness, a training in accepting the present moment on its own terms without the immediate impulse to control it. The Stoics taught the importance of accepting the nature of things, of discerning what is given by the cosmic order, and learning to work with it rather than fighting against it. Your body's automatic function of breathing is a perfect example of this given nature, a process that continues with or without your conscious intervention. By choosing to observe it with calm detachment, you are practicing a fundamental Stoic skill, the ability to witness reality without being instantly swept away by a desire to alter it. To begin, find a comfortable seat and direct your attention to the physical sensations of breathing. You might focus on the subtle feeling of cool air entering your nostrils and the slightly warmer air leaving them. Or you could rest a hand on your chest or abdomen and feel the gentle rise and fall with each cycle. Your only task is to be a curious, impartial witness. When your mind wanders, as it inevitably will, gently guide it back to the anchor of the breath without any criticism. This practice builds a quiet, resilient confidence rooted in the knowledge that you can face any sensation, any feeling, any moment with this same attitude of calm observation. Later today, when you feel a flicker of frustration or a surge of anxiety, recall this minute of breath watching. Can you apply the same gentle, non-reactive attention to that difficult emotion, simply observing its presence without needing to immediately argue with it or make it disappear? By fearing the worst, you can prepare for it and thus disarm its power to shock. This 24th microhabit is the worst-case scenario premeditation, a brief and rational exercise where you deliberately consider a potential challenge or failure for the day ahead. You are not doing this to feed anxiety or indulge in pessimism, but to mentally inoculate yourself against the day's potential surprises, diminishing their ability to derail your composure. This is the ancient Stoic technique known as Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. The Stoics used it not to dwell on suffering, but to build a profound resilience by making the familiar seem less frightening through careful, calm forethought. Seneca was a master of this practice, advising his friend Lucilius to rehearse them in your mind: exile, torture, war, shipwreck. All the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes. He was not being morbid but pragmatic. By anticipating life's potential disruptions, we strip them of their novelty and their power to paralyze us when they arrive. Your morning application is far more immediate and manageable. Take one specific, realistic event from your day, perhaps that work presentation or a difficult conversation with a colleague. Now briefly imagine it going poorly. Picture the projector malfunctioning or the other person reacting with sharp criticism. The crucial step is to then mentally rehearse your calm, virtuous response. You see yourself taking a slow breath, acknowledging the technical issue without panic, or listening to the feedback without becoming defensive. You are not visualizing failure. You are visualizing your own unwavering character in the face of a setback. This mental rehearsal builds a kind of emotional muscle memory, so if the challenge does arise, your response is not a raw, panicked reaction, but a practiced, principled action. So take a moment for an honest reflection. What is one feared outcome for your day ahead, the one that quietly gnaws at you? If you fully accepted it as a genuine possibility, and then planned your steady, virtuous response to it, how much of its frightening power would simply evaporate? Your morning coffee reaches your hand only after a journey involving countless unseen people. This 25th microhabit is a moment of acknowledging one interdependence, a conscious pause to recognize your profound connection to the vast, intricate web of human effort that sustains your life. It is a direct antidote to the modern myth of the self-made individual, a reminder that no one is an island entire of itself. This practice is deeply rooted in the Stoic principle of sympatheia, the belief in the mutual interdependence and shared destiny of all rational beings in a single, universal community. Marcus Aurelius constantly returned to this theme in his private writings, urging himself to remember that we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. To act against one another is contrary to nature. He saw every person as a limb of the same great body, each one essential to the whole. The practice itself is beautifully simple and can transform your most mundane routines into moments of profound humility and connection. As you hold your coffee mug, pause for just a few seconds. Consider the clay miner who extracted the raw materials, the potter who shaped it, the factory worker who glazed and fired it, the truck driver who transported it, and the store clerk who placed it on the shelf. Your simple morning ritual is supported by a silent symphony of labor and skill. This acknowledgement does not breed guilt, but a deep and grounding gratitude. It shrinks the ego and expands your sense of belonging to something far larger than your own personal concerns. It builds a quiet confidence that comes not from feeling superior or independent, but from knowing you are a valued part of a shared human project. So, as you move through your morning, choose one ordinary object or one simple pleasure. It could be the electricity powering your light, the clean water from your tap, or the bread for your toast. In your mind, silently thank one unknown person, one invisible link in the chain that brought this small gift to you. What quiet shift occurs within you when you recognize that your individual life is woven from the threads of a million other lives? That space between a trigger and your response is where your true freedom lies. This 26th microhabit is the pause before responding drill, a simple but profound practice of inserting one deliberate second of silence before you speak or act. In that brief moment, you create a sanctuary for your rational mind to step in and override the raw impulse, transforming a potential reaction into a chosen response. This is the practical, everyday application of the Stoic discipline of assent, the conscious act of choosing which judgments you will endorse before they become actions. The foundational teaching of Epictetus illuminates this entire practice as he stated, "We are disturbed not by things, but by the views which we take of them." The event itself is neutral. It is your instantaneous, often unconscious judgment about it that sparks the emotion and dictates your behavior. That 1-second pause is your chance to question that initial judgment. You begin this training in the most benign, low-stakes situations imaginable, because that is where you build the muscle memory for when the pressure is high. When your partner asks you what you would like for breakfast, do not answer immediately. Pause for 1 full second. Feel the slight, almost imperceptible tension of waiting. Then offer your calm and considered reply. When a colleague sends you a simple message, do not fire back a rapid response. Place your hands in your lap, take 1 conscious breath, and only then begin to type. In that tiny window of silence, you are not just hesitating, you are actively reclaiming your sovereignty from the autopilot of habit. You are proving to yourself that you, your reasoned self, are in command. So take a moment for an honest recollection. Think back to a recent minor frustration, perhaps when someone cut you off in traffic or made a casual critical remark. Can you pinpoint the exact moment where a single second of pause could have allowed a more measured, more virtuous thought to arise before the words left your mouth? That first bite of food can be a complete meditation in itself. This 27th microhabit asks you to eat just 1 single, mindful bite of your breakfast, devoting your full attention to the experience as if it were the most important task in the world. You are not just fueling your body, you are practicing the Stoic art of bringing your entire being to the present action, honoring the simple provision of nature with your full awareness. The Stoics viewed eating not as a source of fleeting pleasure, but as a necessary act of nourishment to sustain a life of virtue. Musonius Rufus, a teacher of Epictetus, spoke directly to this, stating that we should choose food not for enjoyment but for nourishment, not to please our palate but to strengthen our body. He was advocating for a mindset of gratitude and utility, where food serves the higher purpose of a well-lived life, not just sensory indulgence. To practice this, take a simple food, perhaps a slice of an apple or a spoonful of plain yogurt. Before you eat it, look at it, notice its color and shape. Then, as you bring it to your mouth, pay attention to its scent. When you take that first bite, resist the automatic urge to swallow quickly. Let the food rest on your tongue. Notice the explosion of flavor, the specific texture, whether it is crisp or soft, smooth or granular. Chew slowly, focusing entirely on the changing sensations as the food breaks down. In that one bite, you are not just eating, you are connecting with the natural world that provided this sustenance. You are training your mind to be here, in this moment, with this single, life-supporting act. How would the quality of your entire day shift if you began it with this small ceremony of attention? I encourage you to take this practice 1 step further this week. Choose 1 entire meal, perhaps a quiet lunch, and commit to eating it with this same level of mindful, undistracted presence, from the very first bite to the very last. Every powerful emotion you feel is a temporary guest, not a permanent resident in your mind. This 28th microhabit is the silent, internal repetition of a simple, ancient phrase, "This too shall pass." You use this mantra not to suppress your feelings, but to create a small space of perspective around them, fostering a steady equanimity whether you are riding a wave of joy or sinking into a pit of frustration. This practice is rooted directly in the very bedrock of Stoic physics, which viewed the entire cosmos as a river in constant flux, where everything is born, changes, and passes away according to a rational, natural order. Nothing is designed to last forever, and recognizing this truth is the key to a profound and unshakable inner stability. Marcus Aurelius returned to this theme again and again in his private writings, urging himself to remember that time is a river, a violent current of events, glimpsed once and already carried past us, and another follows and is gone. He saw the entire world as a kind of ceaseless transformation, where to resist change was to resist the very nature of reality itself. Your application of this mantra is beautifully immediate. The moment you feel a surge of anger because a driver cuts you off, you do not try to fight the feeling. You simply acknowledge it, and in the privacy of your own mind, you whisper, "This too shall pass." When you experience a flash of pure happiness from a piece of good news, you can offer the very same phrase, not to diminish the joy, but to fully appreciate its fleeting beauty without desperately clinging to it. This mantra becomes a tool for graceful non-attachment, allowing you to experience life's full spectrum without being tyrannized by any single part of it. So take a quiet moment for a personal reflection. What is one specific source of anxiety or irritation for you right now, in this very week? Can you consciously name it, and then, with a calm and steady breath, label it for what it truly is, a temporary condition that is already in the process of changing, just as you are? The person in the mirror is the only one you truly need to answer to at the end of the day. This 29th and final microhabit, a final glance in the mirror with intent, is your last private ritual before you step into the world. It is not a check on your appearance, but a quiet meeting with your own soul. In that brief moment, you look yourself directly in the eye and consciously reaffirm your commitment to live by your principles, no matter what the day brings. The Stoics often spoke of an inner daemon, a kind of guiding spirit or divine spark within each person that served as a constant witness to their thoughts and actions. Marcus Aurelius referred to this when he wrote, "You should be like a rocky promontory against which the restless surf of the sea keeps pounding. It stands fast while the churning waters are stilled around it." He saw this inner citadel, this unshakable core, as the true self you must answer to. Your glance in the mirror is a way of connecting with that inner witness, reminding yourself that your primary audience is not your boss, your colleagues, or your social media followers, but the person looking back at you. The practice itself is simple yet profound. Before you walk out the door, pause for just 5 seconds in front of a mirror. Make genuine eye contact with your own reflection. Do not look at your hair or your clothes, look into your own eyes. Then, mentally state your core intention for the day. It could be the single virtue you chose earlier, or a simple phrase like, "Today, I will act with integrity," or "I will meet every challenge with calm courage." This is not about reciting empty words. It is a powerful act of self-accountability, a final tuning of your moral compass before you navigate the complex currents of the external world. It solidifies your resolve and makes your commitment feel more real. So, as you prepare to face your day, take this final question with you. What does living with virtue look like for you in concrete terms over the next 12 hours? Is it the patience to listen without interrupting, the courage to speak a difficult truth, or the justice to give someone the benefit of the doubt? Define that single, actionable expression of character. The confidence you carry will be the quiet assurance of someone who has already decided, in the privacy of their own reflection, exactly who they intend to be. Stoic confidence is not a trophy you win overnight, but a fortress you build brick by brick with each mindful morning. We have walked through 29 specific gates into this inner citadel, from the pre-dawn silence to the final glance in the mirror. Each small ritual reinforces a core Stoic truth that your power lies not in controlling the world, but in mastering your judgments, in accepting your fate with love, and in choosing virtue as your only true measure of success. This is the quiet work of a lifetime, forged in the ordinary moments you once rushed through. It is the cumulative weight of these consistent practices that creates an unshakable foundation, a confidence that remains steady when external rewards and recognition fade away. The philosopher Epictetus, who knew the sting of slavery and the value of inner freedom, offered a final, liberating thought. He said, "Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire." This is the ultimate goal, the profound liberation that comes when you stop chasing external validation and start cultivating an inner world so rich and disciplined that it needs nothing from the outside to feel complete. Your journey begins not with all 29 habits, but with one. Which single practice will you commit to tomorrow morning? Will it be the minute of silence, the cold water splash, or the simple act of writing one sentence in a journal? Share your chosen habit in the comments below, and let us build a community of practice, supporting one another in this philosophical training. You have everything you need within you to start this work today, to meet the dawn not with dread, but with the steady confidence of a mind that is finally, truly your own.